welcome to this explainer. Today, we are tackling a massive topic that literally affects almost every single one of us: how to build real, lasting influence at work entirely without getting dragged into toxic office politics. Because let's be honest, if you've ever felt like you're doing absolutely stellar work, but someone else is scooping up all the credit just because they're a bit louder, well, you are exactly in the right place. We're going to completely unpack the secrets to career growth, specifically by looking at the underlying psychology of workplace perception. We have all been there, right? You want to get ahead, you really want to make a meaningful impact, but you find yourself staring down this fundamental question. How on earth do you build workplace influence without playing those exhausting office politics? It can honestly feel like a trap. Like, if you don't play the game, are you just destined to fade into the background? Well, definitely not. To really get to the bottom of this, let's bring this source material to life by introducing two colleagues, Sneha and Neha. Now, both of them are about 10 months into their jobs. Both are ambitious, and both really want to impress their managers. But, as you'll see, they take drastically different paths to get there. Sneha, she wants to be noticed immediately, and her strategy is basically reporting absolutely everything to leadership. Neha, on the other hand, wants to build trust slowly, intentionally, by actively solving problems. Let's see how these two very different strategies actually play out in the real world. Okay, let's jump right into theme 1, noise versus clarity. To see what this looks like in practice, let's peek into an HR department. Sneha is constantly reporting every little thing to her manager. Somebody's 5 minutes late, there's a casual disagreement, maybe just a minor chat about policy. And sure, at first the manager kind of appreciates it because it makes Sneha look super involved. But pretty quickly, the team starts to wonder, wait, does she just report everything we say? And boom, trust immediately weakens. Now, Neha actually notices this happening and asks herself a truly profound psychological question. If I also start reporting every small thing, will I become trustworthy or simply become another source of noise? That realization brings us to a massive golden rule of workplace perception. Managers remember people who reduce uncertainty, not people who create more of it. It's a total game changer when you think about it. If you're constantly just dropping raw problems onto your boss's desk, you aren't helping. You're literally just increasing their mental load. Look at how Neha elevates the conversation here. When Sneha talks to the manager, she says, hey, this employee did this. It's entirely focused on people, and frankly, it borders on workplace gossip. But Neha, she investigates first. She figures out the actual business impact. Then she goes to her boss and says, I've identified a recurring issue in our onboarding process. Here is the evidence, the impact, and my recommendation to fix it. She brilliantly shifts the entire focus from complaining about individuals to fixing systems. And you know what happens? Months later, employees actually start bringing her their sensitive concerns. They trust her to protect her confidentiality because she's proven she's a problem solver, not a gossiper. Let's switch gears and look at an IT operations scenario. High-pressure situation. A production server suddenly slows down. Sneha's immediate reaction? She messages the boss right away. Server performance is poor. But the boss probably already knows that. Neha handles it completely differently. She rolls up her sleeves, jumps into the troubleshooting effort, collects the logs, identifies the root cause, and actually restores the service. Only after understanding and handling the situation does she send an update, and it includes the preventive action she's already scheduled. So, put yourself in that manager's shoes for a second. You're receiving two very different types of messages that day. One simply reports the problem, the other reports the solution. Over time, managers are naturally going to start relying on the people who consistently provide this kind of absolute clarity and resolution. They don't just want people ringing the fire alarm. They want firefighters who can actually put out the blaze. Moving right along to theme 2, information versus value. How do these exact behaviors scale up when things get crazy busy? Let's look at a high-volume environment, like a call center. An agent has a really tough call with a customer. Sneha immediately runs to tell the leader. She's just creating raw information. Neha, however, sits with the agent afterward, listens to the call with them, and shares techniques to improve. She's creating actual value. Or take a customer chat process where people are asking the same questions over and over. Sneha forwards 20 individual screenshots of complaints to her manager throughout the day, which, let's be real, is a manager's absolute nightmare. Neha spots the pattern and prepares exactly one summary, outlining the root cause and a solution. Sneha is just overwhelming her managers with data, while Neha is actively saving them time by organizing all that complexity into clear, actionable steps. And because Neha actually sits down and works to improve performance instead of just blindly reporting it, you see these incredible compounding effects in just a single month.
Customer satisfaction improves, quality scores go up, and escalations drop. Remember, managers are constantly strapped for time. If you can be the person who translates chaos into actionable value, you become completely indispensable to the team.
Which brings us perfectly to theme 3, the true source of leadership. Let's look at how this dynamic plays out across different departments and influences real leadership. Think about a high-stakes leadership meeting. Sneha is essentially collecting information about her peers just to tell senior leadership. The result? People completely stop speaking openly the second she walks in the room. The trust just evaporates. But Neha? She's collecting ideas. She brings people together to find common goals. When a conflict pops up, she listens. She asks questions, and she searches for alignment. Gradually, everyone realizes that when Neha is leading a project, they can speak honestly without any fear of being secretly reported. I absolutely love this quote, and it perfectly captures why trust is Neha's ultimate superpower across the entire organization. Authority may come from a title. Leadership comes from credibility. You simply cannot mandate trust from a team. You have to earn it, day in and day out, by being a safe, reliable harbor for their ideas and concerns. This works everywhere, even in environments you might think are immune to it, like a highly bureaucratic government job. Say files are moving incredibly slowly through different departments. Sneha's approach is to frequently complain and report her colleagues to senior officers. It's just more noise. But Neha follows a super meticulous framework. When an issue actually truly requires escalation, she follows procedures to the letter, she keeps pristine records, she provides hard facts instead of emotions, cites the exact applicable rules, and crucially provides a recommended action. Because of this diligence, senior officers quickly realize that if Neha is raising a flag, it is genuine and completely supported. Her words carry massive weight purely because she doesn't use them unnecessarily. All right, let's pull this whole shebang together. The bigger lesson? Being noticed versus being trusted. At the end of the day, every workplace has two distinct kinds of influence. Being noticed, like Sneha, that happens really quickly. You can get a massive spike in visibility on day one just by waving your hands and pointing out problems. But being trusted, like Neha, that takes months of consistent effort. It's a slow burn, but years later, that trust forms a permanent, rock-solid foundation for your career that is incredibly difficult for anyone to replace. People in a meeting might remember who shouted the loudest or who spoke first, for sure. But when push comes to shove, they will always rely on the indispensable employee who consistently embodies these 3 traits. They solve problems, they communicate clearly, and they act with absolute integrity. And this reputation, it scales across literally any profession, from HR to IT to a busy call center to a slow-moving government office. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on as you navigate your own career path. Are you trying to be the first one to speak, or are you trying to be the one people actually rely on to solve the problem? Creating noise is easy. Creating value, that is what makes you truly indispensable. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.